Iran wants to become the new, Israel wants to become the new ruling state in the world. And for that you have to go to my book. Would someone kindly give me a copy of Jerusalem in the Quran? You have to go to my book Jerusalem in the Quran for the Islamic eschatology. The Dajjal, when he's released on earth, will live for 40 days. The Prophet said, one day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week, and all the rest of his days like your days. We said a day like a year, and Britain became the ruling state in the world. And the world experienced what they call Pax Britannica. It wasn't Pax at all, it was only war. And then came a day like a month over here, and the United States of America replaced Britain as the next ruling state in the world. And Pax Britannica was replaced with Pax Americana. And the British sterling pound was replaced by the US dollar. And we said, this is our opinion, that a day like a year came to an end and was replaced by a day like a month. This is the first time in our history that this hadith was interpreted this way. And now we are saying that a day like a month is coming to an end and a day like a week is commencing. And so there has to be a passage from the United States to a third ruling state. And 10 years ago when this book was published, we said the third ruling state is Israel. Israel wants to become the third ruling state. For Israel to become the third ruling state, the United States has to collapse. And so this is going to be the collapse of the economy. Not just the US economy, but more than that. With the dramatic rise in the price of oil, you're going to have a significant rise in the cost of living around the world. Transportation costs are going to escalate. Food prices are going to escalate. Energy prices will rise. And this is also going to affect the prices of manufactured goods. The poor of the world will sink as soon as Israel attacks Iran into greater poverty and in some cases destitution. In Yemen now, they can't afford to buy the cooking gas with which to cook. The middle class around the world will sink into poverty. And when there are so many poor, the majority of mankind in poverty, it's going to be easier. It's going to be easier to rule the world. With people who are too poor to organize themselves, to resist oppression and resist slavery. How should we respond to this impending economic collapse, financial and monetary collapse? How should we respond to the imminent rise of the cost of living around the world? How should we respond? My opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinion before we end tonight. My opinion is to go to that hadith of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. He said about Akhirul Zaman, he said, if you have land, hold on to your land. You're familiar with that, aren't you? And he said, if you have animals, hold on to your animals. And then a man asks, O Messenger of Allah, what about if we have neither land nor animals? He said, sharpen your sword. Of course, CNN is going to call him a terrorist now. He said, sharpen your sword, because you're going to be dealing with chaos and anarchy and riots as people seek to survive by fighting each other for food. Where can we get land and animals to sustain ourselves in this impending collapse? The answer is certainly not in the cities. If you believe that you can survive in the cities and get land and animals in the cities, you should buy a one-way ticket to the moon. And so Egypt, I'm talking to you tonight. In Pakistan, I'm talking to you tonight. Listen to me and get out of the cities. 20 million people in a city, 15 million people in a city, who's going to feed them? Where are you going to get your food from? What's going to be the price of that food? Get out of the cities while still there is time. Go to the countryside. Go to where rain falls. Go to where there is water. And produce your own food. Dairy crops, food crops, dairy farming, milk and meat, so that you can survive the storm that is coming. Ensure there is water supply. Do not depend on oil for energy. Use natural energy. A bicycle is natural energy. Wind, solar energy, water energy. Number two, live in small communities, because small communities can more easily sustain themselves without having to be dependent on supplies of food from outside the communities. We now return to Pakistan. An attack on Iran can be launched simultaneously with an attack on Pakistan. The purpose would be to eliminate Pakistan from the nuclear club. But we've been saying this for 10 years now. When the attack on America took place in September 2001, we produced a booklet 2 months later, a Muslim response to the attack on America. That booklet is on my website. And in that booklet we said that those who planned and executed 9/11 had as their ultimate target Pakistan. And they put the blame on Afghanistan so that they could put their troops in Afghanistan, so that they will be advantageously located for moving in on the final target, which is Pakistan. Why Pakistan? Why is Pakistan so important? The answer is Pakistan is a member of the nuclear club. It is the only Muslim country which possesses nuclear weapons. And according to the Bible of the Zionists, no Muslim country must be able to defend itself. The Zionist Bible says that no Muslim country must have nuclear weapons. But the Zionist Bible says Israel can have as many nuclear weapons as it wants. And Israel should be able to also use its nuclear weapons according to their moral law. And because Pakistan has nuclear weapons, Pakistan has to be denuclearized. Their strategy for denuclearizing Pakistan appeared to me 10 years ago to be to try to so destabilize Pakistan that there may be civil war in Pakistan, and then use that civil war as an excuse that we have to save the world from a nuclear holocaust. We have to save the world from nuclear weapons landing in the hands of terrorists. And so we have a mission. For the sake of mankind, we have to attack and invade Pakistan and destroy the nuclear plants in Pakistan and destroy the nuclear weapons in Pakistan, and also break up Pakistan into bits and pieces so it can never rise again. When that happens, of course, we must have a Zionist friend to take over and control all the pieces. And it is time for Muslims around the world to recognize, including Muslims in Iran, that Israel's most strategic partner, most strategic ally in the world today, after the United States, is India, with Saudi Arabia neck and neck behind India. And so, not only must India be involved in the attack, but also when the attack takes place on Pakistan, and if it succeeds, then in the sequel it is India who must now control the region on Israel's behalf. An attack on Pakistan, a successful attack on Pakistan, and the denuclearization of Pakistan and the breakup of Pakistan into bits and pieces will impact upon Muslims in the whole of that subcontinent in such a way as to bring about a state of demoralization and despair, and send shock waves to Muslims in the rest of the world. That one of the largest Muslim communities around the world, in India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, have now come under the foot of Hindu India. So India will rule the entire South Asia with NATO in control in Afghanistan. What should Pakistan do at a time like this? This late hour. Perhaps it's already too late for Pakistan to do anything, because those who have controlled Pakistan politically and those who have been in control of the Pakistan armed forces have distinguished themselves with their stupidity. And I have to use a harsh language. I'm so sorry to use this harsh language against them. Their awesome and monstrous stupidity these last 10 years since 9/11 in supporting war on terror, which is a euphemism for war on Islam, supporting NATO in the attack on Afghanistan, your innocent Muslim brothers in Afghanistan, and you supporting NATO, killing innocent people. But more than that, handing over the territory of Pakistan to the Zionists. Have you no shame? This is what you did for 10 years. That all the NATO supplies going to Afghanistan went to the territory of Pakistan, and it took you 10 years to stop it. Only when NATO killed 23 Pakistani soldiers, they didn't do by accident. They launched an attack on the Pakistani post while he was sleeping to send a message to you that that's it, the friendship is over, we're coming to attack you now. So only when that happened, now you're going to stop them from transiting the territory of Pakistan with supplies for the NATO troops in Afghanistan?